This is R.A. Mihailov, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and you're watching Without Your Head. And you will be watching Without Your Head if you don't watch Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
I'm Treacherous, Trista.
And we're joined by writer and director Fried Barry, which we both loved, and we're going to talk about Ryan Kruger. It's very cool to have you here.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So it's going to be at Fantasia Fest, August 20th through September 2nd. I'm not sure the exact date when Fried Barry plays, but since it is an online festival, do they play separate days, or can you? Is it more of an on-demand thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think I know some festivals do those separate days, or it's just on the whole time. So, but I think they also cap the film, so only so many people can watch it throughout the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it is like a festival then. If you tickets sell, you can get there. So FantasiaFilmFestival.com. Yeah, and both of us, when we were watching it, because Trista started watching a little bit before me, and she's just like, oh my God, this movie. And like, just, it blew our minds. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not your average movie. It's a,
no, which is the thing that I love about festivals is you see movies that, because if someone asked me to explain Fried Barry, or like what kind, it's like I don't know how to explain it, or what genre it is, which I like. I like a movie that you can't necessarily explain or say, it's a romantic
That's the
comedy
thing.
or whatever.
It has that horror elements in there, has the sci-fi elements in there. We have the comedy elements in there. There's a bit of a love story in there. So it's a bit of everything. It's just a mash of genres and keeps everybody on their toes while they're watching. Yes.
And I can't imagine Fried Barry without Gary Green as Fried Barry, as Barry.
Exactly. Yeah, that part was made for Gary. I mean, nobody could have done it better, performed it better than him. It was meant to be for him, and I wanted him from the start. And even if I got the best actor in the country to do it, it wouldn't be the same. I had to build the movie around Gary to make it work, because Gary's comes from an extra background and he's not a trained actor. So the process of the movie, the way we made it, was the whole movie's like improv, and as we went on, we I basically did a brief scene breakdown. This is going to happen. Barry goes there. Barry goes here. And I wrote 6 pieces of dialogue for 6 actors, and that's it. So because Gary's not a trained actor, I wanted that clean slate to work with him every single day. So every day on set, he didn't know what he was doing until I told him. So I had to work with him very closely, and to get exactly what I wanted and how I wanted it and stuff like that. So I had to work with him very closely, but he gave 110% every time, and he wanted to go for another take and another take. And it was just he knew that, as I told him as well, like this is your shot. This is your shot to you're a lead in a film. You're not an extra anymore, and there's people you're going to be acting alongside very well known South African actors and stuff like that, but don't feel intimidated, because I made this film for you. You're the star of this movie, and nobody can do it better than you. And you're not here by mistake. You're meant to be here, and you deserve every bit of this. And if you listen to me very carefully, I promise you, people are going to love you. And so far, so good. Everybody, loves Gary's performance in the movie, and he is Fried Barry. He's not a heroin addict, but he's Fried Barry.
Yeah. And I'm glad that worked out, because that's like a lot of pressure, I think, on someone. It's also encouraging, and it could give you a lot of motivation. But some people could, could crumble, I think, under like the pressure, this is your shot.
Yeah. Well, I'm originally an actor myself, and then I went into directing. So I've always bounced in between both. So I always know how the other person feels on the other side of the camera. So it's always nice. It's like when I'm acting in films and TV and stuff, I always get on really well with the director, because we just got that communication level right. So for me as a director, I love characters, and Gary's not, he wouldn't be good at with a lot of dialogue. So the thing is, that's why the idea that I came up with, it was the right recipe for this film, and to do it a certain way for it to be very beneficial for his part. And with that, molding him as we went along, and with the character, and he doesn't speak that much, or he mimics people. So even if he mimicked somebody and it didn't sound right, it's fine. He's a fucking alien, so it doesn't matter. You know?
Right.
So it just, everything worked out right. The recipe, how I wanted it, it just worked, you know?
So you said, since it was, improv, like going in, did you know, like, I'm going to get enough to make a feature? Because if it's improv, you know, like, how long the scenes are going to run.
So basically how it worked was I got the idea and I thought, this is it. This is the film I'm going to make. And, I've got all these other scripts lying around, but I knew when I got the idea, this is the one to make, and this is the one that will make more noise, and this is the one that people will probably speak about. So going into it from there, and in 3 days, I wrote a 50% scene breakdown, but very, like I said, very, very brief. It was like, so I had the idea of the story, and then it was just like, Barry goes here, Barry goes there, Barry, this happens to Barry, or that happens to Barry. So there was no real script, apart from when we did the odd big scene or a lot of dialogue for certain actors. I wrote the dialogue for those certain actors, and and also kept that loose. But all the rest of it, when we were on, in the supermarket scene or whatever, it's like, okay, so he's going to meet this person, he's going to meet that person, and he's shopping with his wife. What could happen? What could happen, in the scene? So I think it would be funny if his wife's busy shopping, and then he wanders off, or he gets lost. It's like when you're a kid, you go to the supermarket with your mom, and then the next thing, your mom's not there, and they go off, and you're just like, oh shit, where are they? And he just goes on his little journey, and then he meets the checkout girl, or the guy with the cheese, or whatever, and then we just explore those moments in the moment as we're doing it, and then we'll shoot it a certain way, and then we'll be like, you know what, it's actually better if we turn this whole thing around and we do this instead. And because I mean, to have that freedom and creativity is amazing. You don't really, everything's normally pre-planned, set in stone. The only way a film's going to be different is if, once it's written, is if the director directs it in a certain way, or the actor totally changes on the day and creates something different. So with a film like this, it's great to be in that moment, have the creativity, and go, let's do this. Why not? This is fucking funny. Let's do this. So living in that moment and coming up with those gems, you couldn't normally do that in a normal film. And I've got no studio breathing down my neck, or somebody say, no, you have to do this, you have to do that. So not having those things, you're totally free to do what you want, which is great. And if it's funny to me, I'm like, oh, it's funny to me. I want to put it in. And, so it's, at the start, I wanted to make a cult style movie and have those certain elements in the movie to make it like a cult movie. So, and so far the people that have watched it, without blowing my own horn, but people have said like, oh, cult classic, and this and this and this, which is great. I'm very humble. It's very nice to hear, but it also shows like everybody on set, we all did our job, right. And that's the thing. And for me, like, I'm a big 80s kid, so I love, my 80s horror. And in the film, you've got all those, you've got like Aliens, and Terminator, and Starman, or Explorers, or from the 70s, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So you've got all these references throughout the whole movie. And, then some, like E.T. and what's the other Spielberg, Close Encounters, I know that was 70s. But yeah, so it's got all these, references throughout the movie. So all those, horror lovers or movie buffs or fanboys, you'll get all that stuff, within the movie, which is great.
That'd be a great double billing. Close Encounters of the Third Kind followed by Fried Berry. So follow up.
Yeah.
This is what happens, Richard, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, well, everybody forgets in that movie, he fucking left his wife. He just leaves his wife.
He does, yeah.
and goes on that ship. He's just like, oh yeah, fuck it. Leave the kids, leave the wife. So yeah. So E.T. never came back either. He just left.
No, but the reverse of that, though, he leaves his friend to go back to his family, and his friend stays with his family instead of going with him. So it's kind of the reverse of Close Encounter.
Yeah.
But still pretty sad if you think about it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. But when Trista and I are watching, we're in different locations, they're across country, and we'd be texting each other, "Oh my God, this movie," or she was a little ahead. She's like, "Oh, wait till you get to something or other," and then.
Yeah, well, I
try to spoil anything.
Yeah, I try to make the movie very unpredictable. I try to make it. It's one of those movies like you can't sit there and go, I'm just going to go get a drink while you're watching.
Right.
Like you constantly have to watch it. Otherwise, you go get a drink, you come back and you go, well, how did this happen? It's like, well, why are they in a mental asylum now, or why are they here now? So it's one of those films where you're busy watching, but you're constantly entertained. I would like to think so, and then that you're watching and you're just on this journey the whole time. And that's why I always describe people. It's like a road movie without a car, but Barry is the car, and you just you're meeting these people, and you're going along, and it's just that wacky crazy film that you can't kind of predict what's going to happen, but it keeps you interested. But at the same time, when I thought of this idea, I was like, people are going to love it or hate it. And it's one of those things, the people that love it will really love it. The people that will hate it will fucking hate it. Mm-hmm. So, but the good thing about that is that the people that will hate it will also talk about it a lot, because there's so much shit in the movie to talk about.
Both of I have been telling a lot of our, friends.
Which is great. So, I mean, and that's why I said the people who love it, the people who hate it will hate it. But, I mean, how many films do we watch that we think are shit or we don't like, and there's nothing to talk about? You won't even tell your friend because it's just like, there's nothing
to me, that's the worst kind of movie that's just like, it's like, nah. Yeah. Like,
and there's lots of
nothing you take away from it.
I mean, there's lots of those movies.
I would rather watch a movie I really don't like than a movie I just like, whatever. Yeah.
And then you'll end up still watching it, go, oh, this is fucking crazy, or this is terrible. And it's just getting worse and worse. Uh-huh. So I mean, I think there's that audience will either love it or hate it. And I think it's that good mix. I think it's that, I mean, what I've noticed is we've had our target market really love it. And then we've also had people that's not our target market that also really love it.
Oh, that's
and it's also something really different. So that's pretty cool and pretty interesting that it, seeps into the, the two kinds of audiences, which is great, which is great that somebody else can appreciate it. But obviously it's not for the faint-hearted, that some people watch it and be like, nah, that's
right. Even though it's not similar really a movie in tone or anything, but to me, it's sort of the same feeling when I watch A Greasy Strangler, because it's a movie I thought everyone would.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, really? I love it. And everyone's very interesting looking in both movies.
Yeah. So somebody, I think about 2 or 3 people already mentioned that, and I've actually been dying to watch it, but I haven't seen it yet. I really want to watch it.
I would highly recommend
the guy in that movie. Well, I only saw the trailer, so it looks crazy, and I was like, I want to watch this movie.
Yeah, well, get back to us after you see The Greasy Strangler. Trista, do you have a question?
I have a question. I'll just extrapolate, I guess, on a couple of things that you're saying. I obviously am a huge fan of this movie. I love this movie. I was texting Neal. We have so many movies to watch, and I was like, I'm gonna watch Fred Berry, and he was like, I'm gonna do some other stuff, and then 10 minutes in, I'm like, this movie's blowing my mind. Another 10 minutes, I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I love it.
So I stopped what I was doing. I was like, I gotta go turn it on now. Yeah,
that's cool.
So we're both very excited about this film, and we've just been telling our friends how much we love it. We're huge fans.
Thank you so much. And there's nothing better, there's nothing better. I mean, this is my first film. This is my first feature. So, I mean, when somebody makes the first film, automatically, you say to yourself, it has to be good. And that's a fucking understatement. Like, when you make your first feature, it has to be the best thing that you've ever made. Well, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? So it has to be the best fucking film that you've piece of footage, long form of the best thing that you've ever shot before. And I think while we were shooting it, I knew that, which was great. You know, because normally, like when I'm on set and I'm busy shooting, I know what I'm getting, and I'm excited, going, okay, cool. I'm getting what I want to get out of it. And every day on set, I was just like, shit, this is cool. And even like a few of the actors said to me, you know, they would on set, they'll be like, dude, there's something special about this movie. And I was like, well, what is it? And I want to know. And they're like, I don't know, man, but there's something really special about it. And I was like, cool. But it interests me that, you know, all these creative people came together and we made this movie. But it was just interesting because there was something, I don't know, I can't even explain. There was something on set while we were shooting it. It was just different, and it was just, and I mean, for South Africa, it's completely out of the norm because we don't make these type of movies here, like, whatsoever. So it's the first of its kind to come out of South African cinema, that's for sure. Because over here we make historic movies and apartheid and comedies and dramas. So we don't make any films like this. So it's cool that when it came, when we had the festival in South Africa, we actually got 5 nominations and we picked up 3 awards, and we got Best South African Film. So it was very surprising that, because South Africa is quite conservative. So it was, and for what the film is, I was like, it could have easily been overlooked, completely overlooked, but it wasn't. And that was great to know that whoever judged that, because most people here, in the South African industry, they want something new and they want something different. People are fed up of making the same, I've lived in South Africa now for 11, 12 years, and I've always been back and forth. And throughout that whole time, everybody's like, oh, we just want something new. We want something different. And that's people in the industry and not in the industry. So I'm happy. And it's also like, when it comes out here, there might be a lot of haters. And then I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of people that I know that will really like it a lot.
Yeah, I actually asked. Oh, go on, sorry.
Oh no, go on.
Just real quick, because I asked a friend of mine from South Africa, an actress, and I was like, I know this is probably like asking someone in America if they've worked with any American director, but I was like, do you know Ryan Kruger? And right away she's like, oh, he made Fried Berry. She hasn't seen it yet, but she was saying that like everyone was talking about.
Okay, who is the actress?
Rain Swart.
I know. Yeah.
A lot of horror movies here in the States.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
But she did a lot of non-horror movies in South Africa.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's nice that I mean, with the festival run so far, I mean, in Brazil, people were loving it and just going crazy about it online. So it's just great and very. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's my first film, so it's so nice that people are taking to the film and really enjoying it and really liking it and saying it's very different and they think it's going to be like a cult film and and all this. So I mean, it's great. It's great to hear those things. It just fills me with hope that it'll get better and better and people will watch this movie. And that's the thing, when you make a movie, you want people to watch it at the end of the day.
Right.
So,
yeah. And what were you going to say, Trista? Sorry.
Oh, not at all. I was going to say, as an actor, I love characters, and I don't get to see people like Gary carrying films as much as I'd love to. And I didn't know if that was maybe just me who's so fascinated by characters or just actors that are so fascinated by characters. But I'm so happy to hear. I think more people want to see more different types of people because the world is so rich in diversity that way.
Yeah, and as a director, I love characters. So I've worked with a lot of non-actors. I mean, there's an actor that I work with a lot. He's been in like nearly everything that I've done. A guy called Philip Potts, also known as Papa Smurf. And he's this old guy, and he's really short. He's got this beard. He looks like Papa Smurf, but he's not
I
blue.
love him already.
And that's it. and I love characters.
And he's
so,
blue.
I mean, and that's the thing with Gary. He's got that presence. Nobody can look. He's unique. He looks a certain way, and nobody looks like him. And that's what makes him great, and that's what makes him different. And I'm so happy for him that, you know, going from, you know, doing extra work for years and years, and then I've worked with Gary for like 10, 11 years, and he's been extra in, you know, in my music videos and stuff. And then his parts got a little bit more featured, and then we did the short film, and then bam, it's like he was in the feature film. So yeah, it's been a great journey, and for Gary, it's such an underdog story. You know, it's such an underdog story that, you know, he's come from being an extra and came out clean in the end, and he's the lead actor. And I think now probably you know, with this story, like there's so many cool stories about Fry Barry and how we made it, and the story of Gary. And I think there'll be a lot of extras now in South Africa or other places going, maybe I'll get my shot, and, you know, maybe I'll get somewhere. And it's I'm happy that I saw something in Gary a long time ago, and when nobody didn't, and nobody would give him that shot. Because even when he was an extra, you know, he's there in the background and he's just trying to shine, and he just wants to be seen. And, you know, and I've always liked him because of his look, and he's such a nice guy. He's very humble, and it's so great to be on this journey with him. And I'm so happy that you know, we did this film together, and, you know, he ended up, you know, being Fry Barry again, and you know, in the whole movie. So it was a great journey.
When you did the
tremendous in it too. Sorry, it's not just his look, by the way. He deserves a lot of credit as well. Like, he has so much going on behind the eyes. Yeah. Such a tremendous physical actor. Like, he really deserves all of the accolades, I think. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And that's what I said to him from day one. You know, I'm like, I knew he was going to do well. I knew, and that's why I'm saying that he is the movie. You know, he is the movie. Without Gary, the movie's nothing. And that's why it had to be the right story. I had to make it a certain way. I had to work with him very closely to get exactly, you know, what I wanted. And every day he arrived on set, he didn't know what we were doing until I told him what we were doing. So I didn't want him to overthink anything. I was like, just listen to my direction. Don't do this. Don't do that. Just listen. Just only do exactly what I say. Don't you know, go off on one or anything. It's just, I had to work with him very closely to mold him as we went on. And that's why I'm saying it's all about that character of that alien, and not having to speak a lot, or, you know, constantly looking around. And like the reference I gave him was one of the references was like Edward Scissorhands. So, I mean, you know, you've got this guy who's like looking around and he's just wobbling about, you know, so there was all these like little things that I just wanted him to do, but not to, and everything was kind of, you know, quite wacky and overplayed, but at the same time subtle in a way that, you know, he's the alien, and he would be reacting to this, or he'll be just constantly like looking around. I mean, there's an alien tourist. I mean, we all know when somebody says tourist, we all know it's like, sometimes it's like a person with a map going, pointing and looking. Right. And that's the thing. It's, you know, it's this guy that's an alien tourist, and he's just looking around. Everything's new. He's like a kid. And one of my other references was Bad Boy Bubby. So Bad Boy Bubby, you know, that was from the 90s, and it was, you know, the story was he grew up in that room and he never went out, and then he came out into the world, and everything was like, wow. He only saw, you know, he didn't even watch TV in the room. So when he came out, it was like everything's like, wow, like, you know, a car, this, and a club, and music. So he experienced all that. So I looked at certain movies like Starman by John Carpenter, and Bad Boy Bubby, and, you know, and E.T. and all those, and just mashed and gelled and you know, made my own thing with, you know, like the drug addict alien and all that, and, you know, just to try to make something a bit more original and a bit more crazy. So I didn't want to, you know, take too much from anything. But at the same time, you know, as I said, there's so many 80s references in the movie of films that I love, and there's been a big, you know, part of, you know, growing up and watching these films.
The addiction part of the movie. Do you have any personal connection to that? You know, either you personally or someone you've known?
No, no, and neither does Gary.
Okay, well, that's good.
So no, it's just a thing where, I mean, it's like there's a lot of people that watched it and said, you know, it's like Under the Skin meets Train Spotting or stuff like that, you know, and that's the thing. It's you know, I love the. That's what I'm saying. It was finding that right character, you know, for the movie, and I think the heroin addict, obviously because of the short, just led into, wouldn't it be fun if a heroin addict junkie got abducted by aliens, and then his body would still need the drugs. But before I made Fried Barry, I got to a point. So in South Africa, I'm known as a music video director, and I've come close about 4 or 5 times to making a movie, and then something always happens and it ends up going away, and you're just like, ugh. And then you get excited again, and then it doesn't happen and it fades away, and that's happened quite a few times. And I kind of knew the answer all along, that sometimes you just got to do it yourself, and you just got to make it happen. But at that time in my career, I got to a point. So this is about 4 years ago. I actually got really ill, and had an operation on my kidney. I got sepsis, nearly died. At the time, I broke up with my girlfriend. My cat nearly had cancer, nearly died. I had to make this medicine for her. It was this whole big thing. And depression kicked in. And I was like heavy in depression. Never been depressed in my whole life ever. I'm like the ambitious, productive person. I'm always, always working towards something. I'm the guy that everybody asks for advice, and I'm the guy that gives advice. And so when I got depressed with all these things, I was just like, I'm done. I'm fucking over. Like, I just had enough of everything, and I was just like, I'm done. And I realized when I got depressed, I realized that I've never been depressed. I realized that, like, fuck, I was just down those other times. Mm-hmm. When you get depressed, it's fucking horrible. It's like the worst fucking thing ever in the world. And I knew, at the top of my list, what is that one thing that I've, always wanted to do? It was to make a film. And then I was just like, fuck, I'm going to make a movie. That's my medicine. And that's the only way I know that can get me out of this state. And a month before shooting Fried Barry, I got that idea. I wrote that scene breakdown, as I said, in 3 days. I worked with this producer called James C. Williamson, and we produced these experimental films together. But I only knew him for like 2 months. And then on the second month, I rang him out of the blue when I got that idea for Fried Barry. And I was like, dude, I want to make a movie, and I wanted to make it next month. And because at that time, I also didn't know James that well, my producer. So we literally just met. But I knew we just got on well. And I said, listen, I want to make a movie. I want to make it next month. He's like, well, why do you need to make it next month? I was like, dude, if we don't make it next month, it's never going to happen. It's just going to get pushed back, postponed. I said, like, I'm making it next month. And he was like, have you got a script? And I was like, well, no, because we have to do it in a certain way. And I explained it to him. And I was like, either in or you're out. And he's like, dude, I'm in. And a month later, we were making the movie. So it came about like super quick. And what I got out of this was I got my first movie. I made James, my producer, ended up becoming my best friend. So it's just crazy how things happen. And I mean, like, Fried Barry saved my life in so many ways. And I just put everything, all that, like, fucking pain and tears and fucking everything. I just put it all into the movie. So, I mean, and I had to be, that's why I've got all these other scripts I could have done. I've got so many other scripts, probably way easier to shoot as well, but it just felt right. And I knew I had to do something like super, super creative. And that's why I knew as soon as I got the idea, I was like, this is it. This is the one I need to do. And I was very lucky to produce this film with James C. Williamson, and even my DP, Gareth Place. We actually went to film school together, but we actually never spoke to each other. And he actually came on, like, I think it was 3 days before shooting. It was like, 3 days before shooting, he got on board because our original DP dropped us last minute. And then James was like, dude, we're gonna have to shoot this movie with like 10 different DOPs. And then it was 3 days before shooting, and James wanted to reschedule. I was like, no, dude, this is a fucking test. We're gonna fucking make it like next week. And he goes, yeah, but dude, we haven't got a DP. I said, we'll get a DP. And then we got a DP, and he came on 3 days before. And then I thought he was only going to do that like 1 week of shooting. But he said, listen, dude, I can do a week of shooting, but on the weekend I'm going away with my girlfriend, so I can't do any more. And I was like, cool, well, fuck, we're just gonna have to get another DP. And then in that week, things went so well, and he's never shot a feature film before. So when it came to like the Friday, I said to him, I was like, dude, do you want to shoot the rest of this movie? And he was like, yeah, definitely. And I was like, okay, I will give you the rest of the movie if you don't go away with your girlfriend on the weekend. And he was like, done deal. I was like, tell your girlfriend I said sorry. And then that was it. He was the DP for the rest of the movie. So it was just, everything just lined up perfectly. And we had a great cast, great crew. And yeah, it was just magic. It was just great. It was, and all the people that I work with, a lot of the actors, or Hazer that does the music, they're all like amazing at what they do. So, I mean, like, I'm fans of theirs, what they do. So, having them in my film and working with them, it's not just my work, it's their work as well. So it's awesome to watch these people work that are, amazing at what they do.
When you did the short, did that inspire you to want to do the feature, or did you know, like, I want to make this into a feature at some point?
Not really. It was crazy, because the reason why I made the short was, at that time I was still in like middle fucking depression, and the reason why I made the short was because I wanted to make 8 experimentals, which will take 4 years, which I'm still making now, and Fry Barry just happened to be one of the first ones that I made. And the reason why I wanted to make these, because obviously when I shoot music videos and stuff like that, I can do what I want, but at the same time I'm still in a box, because this has to get on TV. This has to match with the style of the band and the music and all that. So I've still got restrictions. So when I wanted to make these experimentals, it was me doing anything I wanted, and there's no rules. So when I made Fry Barry the short, it was just a 3-minute experimental film about a junkie that lives in an abandoned building, watching him on his latest hit and his highs and his lows. And that was it. And then with the success of the short, with, we had like 60 official selections around the world and film festivals. We had like 13 wins. And then we started getting all the fan art. So, and that must have like obviously sparked, something to do with the feature, but it was still quite earlier on before we actually made, I actually thought of the idea to do the feature. But I knew I was onto something good because of the fan art. Because I was like, fuck, if they're doing this for the short and it's so random, then fuck, they got to do it for the feature. So that's what made me go, right, cool, I'm gonna, I did think, how could I turn this 3-minute experimental that doesn't really have a story into a feature? And that's why it had to be right. It had to be perfect. It had to be perfect for Gary to be able to do it and to be able to work with him and pull it off. So there was all these things. And then when I got the idea, I was like, this is it. This is the idea. So it just came around at the right time. And yeah, and like I said, it saved my life in so many fucking ways. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, because we love the movie anyway, but I think all that story with, you with being depressed and Gary, never really having the chance to be in a movie, that really adds so much to the film that, even we liked it, without knowing that.
Yeah. And that's why I always love, when I sit there and watch a movie, I'm always on like IMDb, just checking, checking the trivia for the movie as I'm watching. And then you find out that, you're watching a film and they're like, oh, the 2 leads hated each other. And you're like, oh, fucking, I thought it was
right. Yeah.
They got on really well.
Yeah.
So yeah. And that's why I think Fry Barry's got a great, even without knowing it, but, it's got a great story behind it. Just how it all came together and the improv and Gary and where I was at the time and to do it. And, some people sit there and they go, it took us 10 years to fucking get funded for this movie and to make this film. And then it, without sounding stuck up, it was like, got the idea, cool, we're going to shoot it next month. And then we shot it for, we did actually shoot for a year and a half. It took a year and a half to shoot. So it did take a long time to shoot. But yeah, it's just funny how quick it happened. And, you know, we only shot 28 days within a year and a half. So, I mean, it just fell into place, and we just made it happen. And the great thing was, it's like me and James sat there like first day, and we're like, dude, we're making a movie. And we're like, oh, amazing. How cool is this? Mm-hmm. And then it's like halfway through, oh, dude, we're halfway through the movie. And then it was the end. We're like, fuck, we've done the movie. And then the next thing, it's like we're sitting in America, in San Jose at CineQuest, going, we're watching the fucking movie at the premiere. So it just happened like super quick. And it was just like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and it just jumped. And then even now, it's just like, you know, it's not out yet. It's still hitting the festivals. And I mean, from now to the end of the year, you know, we've got all these festivals, all these big festivals lined up. And then obviously throughout that time, you know, you got the reviews, people talking about the movie, people watching it. And then you also have, you know, we've got all this like marketing. Just check out some of the marketing stuff that we've done for Friar Barry. I mean, there's lots
I noticed the condoms recently, and I was like, I need them for my bookshelf here. Yeah. It'd be perfect. Yeah.
Just pass me that. So it's all so all these like stuff like the Friar Barry condoms, and then we've got other videos coming out like sex education with Friar Barry.
Oh really? And, I'm looking forward to this. Very excited. Yeah, I can learn something maybe.
Yeah. So we got these Friar Barry condoms.
I love them. Yeah.
Studded.
For her pleasure, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I'll send you some in the post. I don't know how good they are. They might not be that safe, but
I'm going to put them on the. I wouldn't want to use them. I want to.
That's what they all say. Even if you open it, look. Okay, so even if we open it, so you've got all the different flavors. Yellow.
I'm also not sure if anyone would want me to use them.
I think it's just Gary that's going to use it. He's going to go out. He's going to go out one night and he's going to meet a girl, and then he's going to be like, "Yeah, I'm just going to put these in." So all the marketing that we're doing, and like all these memes and stuff like that, we've still got all these things to come, and we've even got like a late 80s, early 90s toy commercial with Friar Barry figures.
Oh, nice.
And all that. So we've got all these. Yeah, so we've got all these cool things still to come, and even let me show you. I think you can check it here. But yeah, and that's what it's just like. I love stuff about marketing, and the one thing about Friar Barry is that, I mean, with certain movies, you can only market. You know, you can only market films like a certain way. So I mean, like let's take for example, I mean, it could be any film. So I mean, you know, there's certain films that, you know, you have the trailer, you have the making of, maybe it's some promos, but the cool thing with Friar Barry and the character is that it's infinite. Like there's so many ideas, and I mean, you saw in the movie like the whiskey ad and stuff like that. There's so many things that you can do, and there's just no rules to the character. So, and that's where like the condom commercial and all these other random things, and it's just no rules. So for marketing, it's like a PR person's dream where you can just do all these crazy things and just put it out there, because you can't take the movie too serious, because it's just a wacky, crazy movie. But yeah, we had these figures made, which is pretty cool.
Oh man, those are awesome.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this must be so cool for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a picture of him and his little figure.
I love it.
and his condoms.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
maybe not on him, but yeah. Still, right. It could be an anatomically correct figure that comes with toy.
Yeah,
condoms.
with a condom. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That might be getting a little too far.
You're teaching kids about safe sex. That's responsible.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, like I said, with the marketing. So, for example, today I uploaded the condom commercial on Pornhub.
Oh really? Yeah, I love it.
So we have all that, and then we got like Friar Barry bathwater and all this crazy shit. So it's just funny, and some guy's probably whacking off, checking, and then like Fry Barry comes up with his condoms or whatever, or his sex education and how to put on a condom, or how to like deep throat, or how
he's scarred for life now.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna make him watch the movie.
yeah. So we have to go down every avenue. I just gotta look for the angle. So before we know, we're going to have like Fry Barry in like a gardening magazine or something like that. Your lawn, and just get Gary in there somehow.
Right. You could get every market you could think of. Yeah. All the demos, all the key demos.
You gotta get all the ages,
and home and gardening. Yeah.
All the fucking weird people. You got to get all to watch it. That's why, like on Pornhub, you never know. Some guy's probably sitting there going, and then comes across and goes, I'll check that out. I'll just check that out.
It's like, forget what I'm doing. I'm going to get
Forget what I'm doing. I'll just check that. This looks more interesting.
And much more arousing, depending on the person. But I mean, right away when I saw the poster, I was like, "Oh, this is something that I need to see." And then I watched the trailer, and I was like, "Oh man, this is like insane." And then sometimes, unfortunately, movies have done that. And then you watch a movie, and it's like, "Uh-oh, maybe you should have stayed a poster or the trailer." But Fried Barry did.
But that's the thing. That's why I always say like I love marketing, because I mean, like you said, you get those films that you have this trailer and you go, "Oh, I want to watch that." And then you watch the film and you're just like, "Oh, fuck, that's just not." Like I remember, what was that Matt Damon film, like Downsize?
Right.
Oh yeah.
I remember that trailer and I watched it, and then I watched the film and it was completely like, it just like the trailer sold it as a comedy, and then it just wasn't that whatsoever, and it was like 2.5 hours long or whatever, and it was just completely different. But at the same time, you get those films that is good trailer, not good film, or vice versa. It's like the shit trailer, but the movie's really good, and they needed to, re-edit the trailer for like marketing purposes. But that's the thing with Fry Barry. I mean, I like trailers that you don't get too much from.
I agree.
So I mean, like, remember in the 80s, you'd see the trailer and you see the bad guy go and blow up, and you're like, well, he fucking dies, doesn't he? So
right.
You know what I mean? So and that's the thing. It's like, if you look at the films like what was the Leonardo DiCaprio film? Was it The Revenant? Was it Revenant? Yeah. So I mean, that trailer, it didn't give anything away, but you watched it and you thought, I want to watch that movie. And that's what I wanted to do with Fry Barry is, it just sends you on this journey and you go, fuck, I don't know what that is, but I want to watch it. And what you don't get from the trailer or from the poster is it is that, but it's also something totally different as well. So it has all those elements in what we're showing off, but it's also completely not what you think. And I mean, if you look at the poster straight away, I love the poster. Guy, Brutal Posters in Liverpool, designed it, and I love that poster. But when you look at that poster, the interesting thing is that it's very striking, and it's like it's got that 80s feel and stuff, and you're like, fuck, that looks cool, I want to watch it. But what's interesting is that you look at that poster and you think, bad guy. You look at that face, and you go, oh yeah, it's a horror or something, but he's definitely a bad guy. And that's the cool thing about Barry's character, is that when it starts off and you start watching, you think he's a bad guy, and in the end, it's like he's actually a fucking nicer person than junkie Barry. You know what I mean? So it's completely the opposite, and he starts to help people. And as the movie goes, it's also the tone of the movie and the music where you think, oh shit, what is he going to do to this person? And then he doesn't do it. So it's interesting how you can make that audience feel that. And because, I mean, if, as actors, we get put into boxes, it's like, okay, you're going to be the killer, the rapist, the bad guy, the mental guy, or whatever, and it's like me. So when I do acting, I'm like the quirky guy or the bad guy. And, I'm not going to be the love interest. I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be that. So, and that's the cool thing. So when you look at like Gary, he's either going to play, one of those bad guys or one of those things. So it's good to fool that audience and look at it one way and then go, oh fuck, he's, as the movie goes on, he's actually not a bad guy. He's actually a good guy. You know, he helps people on the way, and he's like the superhero without his, without the cape, but he's got his uniform, which is the denim jacket and the and his jeans, and that's his his superhero outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed. I think it's a lot because his screen presence is when he's alone, he seems very big, like a very big man, and then when he's other people, he's like an average sized guy. But I think it's interesting that he comes off much bigger, I think, than he is.
Yeah, well, it's like in the mental asylum. So when he's there, it's about the people around him, and he's listening, he's watching, and he's learning, and then when they break out, then it's like he's just along for the journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the other guys while they're breaking out, but he's just going along for the journey. So it's little things like that, which I think is cool. So, we're still, even though we're focusing on the other guys, but we're still watching, this funny character, just like, just looking around and watching him, go on it's like this little cartoon character, and he's just going along on this another journey.
Mm-hmm. Did you do your own editing on the movie?
So I work with my editor, Stephen Duplessis. So I work a lot with all my work that I do. But me and my producer James C. Williamson, we sat there and we because we actually should have started cutting as we went along, because it took a year and a half, but we didn't. I don't know why we didn't. And then so we worked on it, and then we would go sit with my editor, and then we'd work on it, and then we go sit with my editor. So yeah.
I just assumed you probably did, since since a lot of it's improv on set, you would have to keep that in mind. I think when you're at least either not doing your own, but you'd have to be really hands on.
Yeah, no, for sure. But the thing is with me as well is I shoot for the edit, so I know what I'm going to use. So that's the cool thing. Instead of having so much footage to look through, and I think there's a lot of directors out there that they want to be safe and they go, let's just get this angle, let's just get this other angle, and sometimes you don't need all that shit. And it's just like, if you know what you're trying to tell and you know what's important, you don't need fucking 5, 6, 7 angles. Sometimes it's like, this is it. It's right here. And we don't need anything more. This is it. So, I mean, or you cover it from 2 angles and that's it. You know what I mean? So even though it's even though it's improv, it's still workshopped right there and then. So, I'd be on set and be like, okay, let's try this. So, okay, action, they try that. Okay, cool. So maybe you should say this, and maybe you should do this. And, where's the scene going to go from here? Okay, it's going to go there. Okay, so let's try this. And then we try it again. And then we're like, cool, now we're going to roll one. And then we'll roll one, and then we get what we need. And then if we need another angle, we just do it one more time. And we take, either the end bit or the middle bit or whatever. But the cool thing is I don't overshoot, and I just shoot for the edit, which saves hours.
Yeah, I would think, because even I've not edited a movie, but I've edited videos I've done with other people, and some people have done stuff with that they want to just shoot everything, and then you have 6 hours of footage for a half-hour thing, and then sometimes I've just given up. It's I don't want to wade through all these hours of footage.
And that's why, you see, the thing is with some editors, you could shoot a scene where I'm talking to you, you're sitting in front of me and I'm talking to you, and people want to get it from all different angles, and maybe there's a third person. So we've got fucking 10 different angles. But the thing is, you don't need all those. And like I said, it's what is important about the scene. It's what you're saying, and it's what you're saying. Sometimes you don't need that establishing shot, or you just need the one establishing shot, and then everything else is just here. So the thing is with that is that you can take that footage. I mean, I know a lot of directors that take footage and go drop it off at the editing and go make that look cool. And I could never do that. I need to sit there. And
I would think that'd be very hard. I've always thought about to someone else to edit your own stuff. Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah. So, but you also can tell sometimes when people do have too much footage, and they take that footage and they give it to the editor. And now the editor sits there, and instead of the editor thinking, "Oh, this is it. This is all we need," they go, "Well, they shot all this footage. I'm going to have to use it. I'm going to have to use it because they shot it all. So they expected me to use it. So I should use all the different angles." And then you watch the film, and it's it's there, cuts here, cuts there, cuts there. And you don't need all that. And you can tell, why they couldn't,
around so many times and you don't need it. If there's just two people sitting down or it's two people standing up, why do you need to cover all that footage? It's just everything what you need is on the subject and that's it. You know? So I think it's that worry in case where they're in post and they didn't shoot for the edit and they're like, fuck, what are we gonna do? So that's the thing. So my mind just like works overworking when I'm on set, and I'm just like, okay, I know this is going to cut with this, I know that's going to cut with that, I just need this shot, and then we got everything that I wanted, and that's it. And within that, for this type of film, it's also getting those first reactions, because if you go again and again, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose that energy, and you're going to lose that realness. And especially with the improv, sometimes you get those gems, and you're like, that's it, that's what it's all about. And there's so many of those that was in the film that just worked, and it just happened, and it was just, it was just beautiful as it happened. We're like, that's it. And everybody would be sitting there trying not to laugh on set, and we knew that's the take. That is the take. So
yeah. So you mentioned watching the movie. I think it was at CineQuest in the States. So how many times have you seen it with an audience? And what was the very first time you watched Fried Berry with an audience?
So that was actually at CineQuest. So we had 2 screenings at CineQuest, and the first screening was great. I mean, we sat there, and it was in this independent cinema, and in San Jose at CineQuest, they've got all these different cinemas in town. So it was like all the films were playing at different cinemas. So the first time, we sat there and we watched it, and we had a full audience there, and people were. I mean, there was one guy sitting behind me, and he was just laughing his head off the whole fucking movie. So it was great. It's just great to see. It's like when you do something, you're like, are they going to get it? Are they gonna laugh at those moments that you're supposed to laugh at? And they did, and that's what. And there was some like South African humor here and there, and like they might not get it. And me being from England, there's a lot of like English humor in there as well. So, and they just got it. People got it, and that was like a mixed audience as well, our target market and our non-target market, and they both loved it. So it was great to see them laugh at the right moments and just sit there and really enjoy it. And the second screening that we had was it was at a bigger cinema, so it was a bigger screen and it was surround sound, and that was basically the festival ended because of the whole COVID-19 thing. Yeah. So then, so we only had, the festival stopped on that day, and I had to continue I think they're continuing next month or something like that. So that was the last day. So we didn't have a full audience. I think by then everybody was like scared and stuff. So we had half an audience, but it was the best that I've seen it on the big screen, on a bigger, better screen, and with surround sound. So it was awesome to watch that and experience on a big screen. But what I did realize for the first time, because obviously I've seen the film so many times with during editing and everything like that. But what I didn't realize was when we had the first screening, I was sitting there and I was like, shit, I didn't realize there was like so much like sex and stuff in it in the first half of the movie. So I was sitting there going, just looking around. And then there was the one scene near the beginning, I'm going to say with the baby, I'm not going to say anymore.
Right, yes, yeah.
So, I mean, one couple like walked out. So I was just like, shit. And but it was also funny, and people were laughing at them walking out because they were like, yeah, this is just not for them. And so as it went on, I was like, oh shit, there's still so much more to come. With, like,
and I was good thing they walked out.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there thinking, shit, I don't know how many people's going to make it. I watched the rest of the movie. So as time went on, I was like, nobody walked out, and I was saying to myself, right, if they get past this bit, they're going to be all right. They're going to make it, and the movie changes from this point on, and they're going to stay, but they just got to make it past this one hectic scene, and it was fine. And then it was the same thing when we had the second screening. I was just sitting there looking around, waiting for somebody to move, and so it was fun to watch, and it was fun to do Q&A and how people perceived it and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I love watching it. Both of us love watching it, but I did think, like, imagine like watching this on the big screen and really being immersed in it, because
I definitely think as soon as I watched it on the big screen, I was like, fuck, people, it's just a different experience. It's so, with the music and everything, it's so good on the big screen. Like it's I think there's some films that you just have to see on a big screen instead of and to be honest, I didn't even think Fried Barry would be that type of film, but when it was made, I was like, shit, man, it needs to be on the big screen. It's just so much better. It's so much more enjoyable. So yeah.
Was Gary able to see it on the big screen?
He did, yeah. He watched it. So while while me and James were at CineQuest, Gary was at Rapid Lion in Johannesburg. So that was going on at the same, basically like a few days after CineQuest. So yeah, he got to watch it on the big screen, and he loved it. And it was funny because I had a conversation with him the other day, and he was like, he was like, was this scene? Did you cut the scene out of the movie, or I'm like, no. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it's like, it was there. And so there was certain scenes that he didn't see because I think he was just sat there and he was so amazed at watching himself and thinking about previous scenes that he was missing the present scene while he was watching. So it was quite interesting. I was like, no, dude, like they didn't cut anything out. That's our file. They're not going to cut anything out. So it was interesting for him to see, to watch the film, and it must have been great for him, to watch the film and to see how how it all got put together and everything. So, and me and James, we actually wanted to be there so much for Gary, just to see him on that special night. I was more excited about Gary's reaction than anybody else's. So I just wanted to see him and be there with him on the, in that moment. And, they had the whole red carpet there and everything. So me and James were like, we so badly wanted to be there for Gary and and see him, for this big moment, in his career where, he gets to be in a lead in a feature and watches it on the big screen and have all those people wanted to take pictures of him. And yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been awesome. But,
and he has all those condoms, so it's
yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, when the fans come in, so yeah. Yeah. And oddly enough, on my mother's side, both my uncles, Barry and Gary. I don't know. Yeah, that's a weird connection here.
We'll cast them in the next one.
Fair enough. It'll be hard. They not to be down, but they both passed away, so it'll be a little odd. But,
I'm sorry. Well, we can do a prequel.
Right. Here. We can maybe a seance or something. Yeah. So for people, first of all, you should go to FantasiaFilmFestival.com, and watch it. And watch there's like so much content there. It's insane, the Fantasia this year. And for people, or they just want to find out more about the movie, where would they go to find out more about Fried Barry?
You can check out friedbarry.com or just type in Fried Barry on Facebook and on Instagram and Facebook, Instagram. Just type in Ryan Kruger or Fried Barry on any of the platforms and it will pop up. I mean, check it out at Fantasia, and then in the UK it's going to be playing at a Grimfest in Manchester, but also online. But we're playing at Seaches, and so there's still lots of festivals all around the world still to come.
Awesome. Well, we were both like really excited when we were watching it because it's so unique and it's a lot of creativity and just it's fun to watch that kind of stuff and inspiring to watch, something
cool, man.
And just enjoyable too,
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing more things from you.
Yeah, maybe we make a number 2. I don't know. I left it on a certain note there just to see. See what would happen, but it will be. It's going to be interesting to see what people say and people think, and maybe there will be number 2. I don't know.
Very cool.
Yes,
definitely.
If I made a number 2, it will be called Deep. Will be called Deep Fried Barry. That's.
I love it. Very good. Well, it's been awesome. Really, thank you for coming on.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me and having the interest and enjoying the movie. Like, yeah, it's amazing. To hear that is great, and it makes me feel that I've done my job to some really good extent, that people are loving it and enjoying it.
Very cool. All right. Well, you have a good rest of the day.
Cool, man. You too, man. Thanks so much, dude.
Thank you.
Cool. Keep well, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Catch you soon.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.